sharing. I thought, oh no, hang on, here we go. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can everybody see my brand positioning homepage there?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So obviously you know now what I'm talking about. It's brand positioning. And so don't worry if you have no idea what brand positioning is, because I'm going to go through all the basics of this today. But firstly, let's have a chat about why I'm even here to speak with you. I know a lot of you are makers of products, and you've got a huge range of products. I was actually looking through the website today, and I was just actually so impressed by the talent of the people that Elle has working with her. But we all know that creating a business is a huge challenge, and promoting that business and actually making sales is a whole other challenge. And these days what I'm finding is that we're all bombarded by people who tell us how to design our websites or advertise on Facebook or build a following on Instagram. But what we're not taught is how to build a foundation for that promotion, something to guide that promotion from start on an ongoing basis, and how to create a brand that people will notice and remember, and most importantly, buy from.
Deborah, can I ask one question quickly? I just realised you might like to see everyone's faces. It might make you feel like you're not talking to an empty room.
That would be nice.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't cross my mind.
I'd love to see everyone's faces.
So let's stay on mute, but we can have the video on.
Oh, hello, peoples.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Elle. Okay, so let's have it. Now that we know why we're here, let's have a talk about brand positioning. We're going to have a look firstly at what it is, and then we're going to have a look at what it can do for your business. Then we're going to go through how you can create your own brand positioning platform. And then we're going to have a look at a case study so that you can see brand positioning in action. And the case study that I'm going to show you is actually a fairly young and small brand that's been using brand positioning techniques really, really well. And as a result, they're seeing quite a lot of success. And I want to start with this question, because this is probably the question I am asked most by small brands, and that is, how can I succeed when I have so much competition? We probably all ask ourselves that at some stage. It's pretty rough out there. And how do we compete when lots of people do what we do and sell what we sell? And we need to stand out from the crowd and all that noise. So this is what we're going to try. This is the question, and these are the questions we're going to try and address today. But before that, let's just answer this question, because I figure you might be asking yourself this one as well. Am I actually a brand? And do I need to be a brand? And the good questions if you are asking those. So let's have a little look at what a brand is. And so we'll look at some, if you Google brand, you'll see quite a few different definitions. And here are some of the more common ones. So we'll just quickly run through these. A brand could be the intangible sum of a product's attributes, or a person's perception of a product, service, experience, or organization. A brand is not just a logo. It's not just an identity, and it's not just a product. It's a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. But I like a much more simple definition, because defining the impact a brand can have is often easier than defining what a brand is. So I like to keep it simple. Oh, here we go. So these are some of the impacts a brand can have. It could be, if you see the logo of a brand, they'll speak to you about qualities like dependability, good health, excellence, feeling good, safety, expertise, and that sort of a thing. And usually, those feelings are usually invoked because of advertising you've seen or experiences that you've had with that brand. But I like to think of a brand simply as promise. And I think every brand, every business should make a promise to their customer around what they do. And it could be the simplest of promises, but it's something, it's a communication between you and your customer. And brand positioning is a way of establishing what that promise is in the minds of your ideal customer. So It's a way of communicating to your ideal customer what it is that you want them to expect from you. I think that's the best way to put it. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at brand positioning. Now that we know why we're having this discussion and we understand, I hope, that we do need to look at ourselves as a brand, even if we're a small business. Let's have a look more closely at what brand positioning is and how it can help us all. So again, if you do a Google search on brand positioning, you'll find a bunch of different but similar definitions. Probably one of the most common or popular is that brand positioning is a mental space that you own with an idea that has compelling meaning to your audience. But again, I like something more simple. I like the definition, it's what makes you obviously awesome. And in fact, there's even a book out there written by a consultant named April Dunford. And her book's called Obviously Awesome, How to Nail Product Positioning So Customers Get It, Buy It, and Love It. And I think that's a fantastic title, so I've sort of adopted that. April actually works with more technology, business-to-business customers. So it's, if you were to read her book, some of her methods may not be completely suitable to you, but still, you know, that message is the same, that message about finding that one thing that makes you really obviously awesome to your customers. But more than that, brand positioning serves a lot of other purposes. It's also your foundation. So that, you know, when you're building your house, you need a foundation, and your brand is your house. It's also your compass, or you might think of it as your North Star, because it will guide the creation of all your marketing activities throughout the different stages of your promotion. And it's your brand DNA. And like our own DNA, it's what makes your business or your product or service unique. So how can you craft your own positioning platform? It's quite doable. Now, it's a simple concept. Once you once you understand what it's about, not complicated in itself, but can be quite difficult to execute. And it begins with a positioning statement. Now, I'll touch on this again later, but the reason it's hard to execute, or can be hard to execute, is because we're too close to our own businesses. It's really, really hard to see your business as other people do. Really hard. I can't see my business the way other people do. And this is what I do for a living. So I don't want people to feel discouraged if they're reading this and thinking, I really haven't got an idea where I would start with this. It takes a bit of work, but that's why I'm here to talk to you about it. So we begin with a positioning statement. And this is a term that we use to provide your formula, I guess is the best way to put it, for your overall positioning platform. Or you might like to think of it as a recipe or a pattern. And it's generally a short, structured phrase that addresses your ideal customers' most pressing problems or their desires by expressing a benefit. And it also makes it clear why your target market should care about your claim. It's all a bit dry when you're talking about the definitions of things. So it'll start to make more sense, I think, when you see some of the examples. There are three components to a well-crafted positioning statement. So let's break it down. Now, the first component is the for component. And this is how you define your target market by their specific need or their desire. The second is the promise component. And this is the main benefit that will make your offering different from that of your competitors. And the third component is the reason to believe. And this is why your target market should believe what you're telling them. Now, we'll touch on these in a little more detail. The for component. This defines the specific target and their current most urgent pain point or need. Now, I don't know about you, but when people talk about pain points, I think pain point. I hate that term, but you know, people tend to be a little bit familiar with it, so I've put it in here. It doesn't have to be a pain. It can just be something they really want, something that they love, something that makes them feel good, you know, something something that just really, really, resonates with them. It's expressed in a statement from the target's perspective. So we're putting ourselves in their shoes and we're thinking of everything that we're doing from the way they would see it. What we want them to do is when they hear what we're saying, we want them to be nodding their head and going, yes, that's me, that's me. And it also sets a stage for the belief that your brand promise will have the solution they are looking for. So basically what we're doing here is we're identifying who we want to talk to, and we're making sure that these are the people that will want to work with us, because not everyone will. The brand promise component is where you state what you're going to deliver. So it could be the solution to a problem, it could be the fulfillment of the need, as I was saying before, or it could be the provision of a service or an outcome or a result. So it's something that has to be just very unambiguous, very clear. This is what I'm going to give you or offer you or provide for you. And the reason to believe is why they should believe you. It's a substantiation of the promise. It's actually the most important part of the positioning platform, and because a lot of people make claims that they can't back up. I think in the case of people such as yourselves who are actually making things, you have the advantage, sorry, let's back up there, you have the advantage of being able to show what you do. In fact, that's a huge part of who you are, it's showing what you make. And so that in itself becomes a way of substantiating your promise, because you can say, this is who I am, this is what I do, and here's why you should believe me, here it is, have a look. So you're in a really, really fortunate position there. And all this comes together in this gobbledygooky looking thing called a positioning statement. But we'll come back to that right at the end when we've done the case study. And you can actually see it in action rather than getting bogged down in it now. But one example that you can, I'll just plant in your head now so you can understand where I'm going with this, is one of Volvo. You'll be familiar with this. And their positioning statement, or one of their positioning statements, is for families with young children, which is the who, Volvo makes the safest SUV on the market. That's their promise. And because we use side airbags and more side airbags and steel struts than any other SUV, that's their reason to believe. And they'll make sure that they have those components, those three components, in every single piece of promotion that they put out there. They don't have to necessarily say it verbally, but they can show it in pictures. They can show it in, in commercials. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually demonstrate what you do. Now, let's break this down a little bit more, because you do need to do some homework. Sorry, just back up there. Okay. Now, you need to do a bit of homework before you can put together your positioning statement, because it does take some reflection and some thought and quite a bit of digging. And I like to base my homework when I'm doing a positioning statement on these five key questions. What do I do? Why should people buy from me? Who really cares? Why will they love my business? And why should they believe me? So let's start with what do I do? And that's the easiest one, because that's how you would describe your business to a friend. If someone said to you, hey, Nancy, what do you do? Rena, what do you do? Whatever you would describe to your friend, that's what you do. I'm sure you've described your business so many times. You know what you do, and you know how to do it fairly clearly when describing it to your friends. Number two is, why should they buy from me? Now, this is a much tougher one. This is where you list the features that you have and that competitors don't have, because what we're looking for here is what makes you unique. Because as you know, there's lots of businesses out there that offer the same or very similar products or services that you do. And most of us have direct competitors, like, McDonald's has a Burger King who sells hamburgers. And most of us have the broader competition. In using the same analogy, McDonald's with hamburgers, but other competitors with other types of fast food. So there's a difference between competitors direct competitors and sort of broader competition. Now, you don't have to worry about that too much, but it's just something to be aware of. It's not just the people right close to you that you need to think about. But what you want to do, ask yourself is, if you didn't exist, what would your ideal customers use or buy? Which website would they click on to look at it for an alternative? Where would they go? What would they? How would they find out? Really have a think about the answer to that question, and study your competitors. You need to choose maybe about 5 to 10 of competitors that you're aware of. People that are in your radar that you know that other people that you want to sell to are probably familiar with. And then you might want to do a search online for other competitors just to get some more information. And look at their websites and their advertising and their socials. Have a look at how they position themselves. Are they selling on a price advantage? Are they appealing to a specialty audience or a particular age group or a geographical area? Are they making specific claims about their product or service? Do they say they're better, or they're better quality, or there are tangible things that they can boast about, and then there are more intangible things that they can boast about. Because what we want to look for here is what you can offer that they don't, or that they don't do well. And it doesn't have to be one thing. It could be a combination of things, because sometimes trying to find one thing is pretty impossible. But if you can combine one aspect of your business with another aspect of your business and create kind of unique value with that, that's great. That's something that you could do a lot more easily than just try to find one thing. So as I said, what we're trying to do here is isolate your own uniqueness. And it doesn't have to be product related. A lot of people don't realize that, because to try and invent a new product is, that's pretty impossible too for most people. So don't think it has to be product related. It could be related to your service. It could be related to benefits that you offer. It could be because you're the first to provide this type of product, or it could be the latest, or the trendy, or the most specialized. You might have more experience in creating one type of thing, or you might be more focused on another area, or you might create a unique personality for your business through your visuals and your voice, your copywriting, your imagery. This is something that the case study people do later on, and they do it extremely well. It's very likely that you're in a situation where your current uniqueness already exists. As I was saying, there's usually competitors that offer the same or similar services or products. So what you need to try and do is be very, very precise. And you might have heard the term niche down. That's a term that's sort of thrown around a lot these days in marketing circles. And that's fine, because what they're saying here is, instead of appealing to a whole universe of customers, perhaps select a segment of those customers and speak to them. So an accountant, for example, it's a very generalized area. They might specialize in a particular type of business accounting. And that's fine. A lot of people do that very successfully. But that's not the only way to do it. I prefer to think of it as niching away. And by that I mean, rather than thinking a smaller audience in terms of the size of the audience, think of a tighter audience, because they're the people that specifically want what you offer. So you're thinking around your own skill or specialty, rather than just trying to reduce the size of the audience for the sake of it. I think a lot of people misunderstand that, and it can be quite confusing. But there is a subtle difference there. So number 3, let's talk about who really cares. Now this is where we talk about your target market, because there are going to be a lot of people there who like what you do. A lot of people out there who look at your products and your craft and your jewelry or whatever it is that you're producing, and they're going to look at it and they're going to admire it and say, that's lovely, that's beautiful, I really love that, I like you on Instagram, I'll follow your page. but they may not actually be the person that's going to buy it for whatever reason. But, you know, this is just a fact of sales life. Not everyone's going to want what you do. So what you want to do is find the people who really, really, really will love what you do. And finding these prospects is really crucial to your marketing and sales. This is where the targeting really comes in. And why will they love my business? Why will these people really, really, really love your business? And that's about the value that you offer. It's where you convert the features of what you do, what your product or service provides, into benefits. And this is the difference between the tangible and the intangible. It's turning features that are just things into benefits that we can, that are feelings and that we can use to connect emotionally with our customers. And your positioning needs to be centered on that value that you alone can deliver to those customers. And one of the biggest challenges we all have is that translation of the tangible features of the business into a language that our customers can relate to emotionally. It really is quite difficult. It's at this point that we might, for example, call on a marketer or a copywriter to help us, because it can require an element of skill, but also objectivity. I think it's very important to have that objectivity. And the last question that we want to ask is, why should they believe me? We've already touched on this, but how can you prove or demonstrate your unique features and their benefits? There's lots of ways you could do this. Sorry, my cat's jumping up. You could have client testimonials, your awards, reviews, case studies, a documented system or product specification, the way you specifically design what you do or make what you do, or links to media or PR coverage. And of course, as I've said before, examples of your work. Your work is its best testimonial in your case. And so you're very, very lucky that you have the talent to be able to produce your own product. Most people would envy that. So getting a message out is the next step once you've got your positioning in place. Now, I don't want to talk about this too much because it's a presentation in itself, but this is the next logical step after your positioning, and that's to create your brand story and your messaging and reflect your positioning through that so that you can communicate really clearly and consistently with your audience. The only thing I'll say here, because I don't want to go off on that tangent, is one really, really, really clear message for me, and that is think oversimplify when you're talking about your messages. Why is this so important? Well, it's simple, because our minds hate complexity and confusion. They do. And the best way to really enter the mind of your prospect is to oversimplify your message. So now a case study, much more fun. So I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Wolf Apparel. Now this is a relatively new brand, as I said, and their positioning is excellent and they're doing really, really well. So this is one of the products that Dr. Wolf Apparel offers. And I think this is the product they launched with. This is their scrub cap, their beautifully designed scrub cap. So let's just revisit quickly the questions that we're going to go through here with our case study. These are our 5 homework questions that we use to do our research for our positioning. What do I do? Why should people buy from me? Who really cares? Why would they love my business? And why should they believe me? Okay, so step 1, what does Dr. Wolf do? Dr. Wolf Apparel offers a wide range of premium surgical scrub caps made with 100% cotton. We integrate fashion and function, so you don't have to compromise on either. Now that's straight from their website. That's a pretty clear, sort of, apparent description of what they provide. Number 2, why should people buy from them? Because they make scrubs and caps and accessories in bright, energetic colors and designs with an emphasis on comfort and style. Now, as I said, this second question is pretty hard to answer because that's pretty much just, you know, that's what they do still, and that's fine. But let's have a look at why they use that to their benefit. Their competitors, and they have a lot of competitors. There are heaps of companies that sell scrubs, caps, and other medical attire. However, these businesses take a more traditional approach, you know, with their imagery and their websites and their messaging and their tone and their voice. For example, here's a pretty typical competitor. They sell nursing scrubs and uniforms. Okay. Another competitor. But it's still fairly generalized with what they offer. They offer lots of different stuff here, and fairly standard uniform scrubs. Smilewear, similar. They're offering a whole wide range of products here. They don't seem to really specialize in one thing, but they do offer scrubs for the medical profession. And one more, vet uniforms. So it's still the same kind of appeal that the other competitors have. It's a traditional kind of approach. It's nothing really eye-catching. It doesn't make me want to jump in the website and buy something. And now Dr. Wolf. Dr. Wolf just has a different approach. They have a fun approach, a bit of a silly approach. They have an approach that just gives them a personality of their own. And I think that's the thing that really jumps out about these guys. They have a personality. Whether you love their personality or you hate their personality, it doesn't really matter if you're not their client. But if you are their client and you love their personality, you're going to buy from them. And who really cares about what they do? Well, this is who is their target audience? Who will really, really love their product? And Dr. Wolf's appealing to a new generation of medical professionals, people who want to inject some fun, fashion, and humor into their work life. So there could be young medical students and interns. They're the more obvious market. But it could be anyone in the medical industry who wants to be cool and appreciates a little bit of fun. And I know of surgeons, for example, a lot of surgeons love to have a bit of fun. They love wearing these sort of cool outfits and scrub caps and things. They obviously want to be professional, but they don't mind. You know, they're confident enough in what they do that they can wear a funny scrub cap and they will still, you know, it's not going to detract from their professionalism. They can appreciate the need for a little bit of humor in the workplace. And why will these people love Dr. Wolf products? For the very fact that they do instill a sense of fun, fashion, and humor. And that's their meaningful benefit. They're providing something that they think is lacking and much needed in the health sector without compromise, and they're not compromising on comfort because the scrubs that they sell are designed to be supremely easy to wear and very, very comfortable. And that's very apparent also in all their promotion. And why should we believe them? We've got a few reasons here why we should believe them. One of them is their mission, and their mission they've actually turned into something quite tangible. And it's called #Operation Wolf. And they say to us, Dr. Wolf is more than a brand of scrubs. It's a way for us to bring joy to the medical world. Our mission is to make medical workers smile. We call it Operation Wolf, and if you look closely, you'll see it in everything we do. It's a driving force behind our designs, our community, how we communicate, and the causes we support. They've pretty much summarized good brand positioning right there in that statement. They've taken a concept, they've committed to it, and they're communicating it in absolutely everything that they do. So their positioning statement would look like this. This is the gobbledygook statement right up early that I showed you that I said, we'll skip like right through to the end to have a look at that in real life because it makes much more sense. So Dr. Wolf's positioning statement is for a new generation of medical professionals who want to inject some fun, fashion, and humor into their work life. Dr. Wolf Apparel provides cool, comfortable scrubs and accessories because our driving force is our mission to make medical workers smile. Now, I'll just say here, they will never actually say that in anything verbatim. In fact, this is my interpretation. Their interpretation might be slightly different, but it will never be used verbatim, so it doesn't matter. But what it does, it really, really clearly defines who they are, what they do, why they do it, why it's better, why it's better, and why their people will love them, and why you should believe what they're saying. And they are just executed extremely well. And they've also got testimonials. They've got a lot of other things on their website that show added proof of why you should really believe their claims. And how Dr. Wolf is getting their message out there, let's have a quick look. So their brand story is built around everything we just talked about, with their key message that cool, comfortable scrubs for a new generation of medical professionals is what they do. And they weave this through every piece of promotion that's out there. And you'll see their brand positioning, and you'll see their messaging and their story clearly and consistently across all their marketing channels, their website, Facebook, Instagram, advertising, even their search results in Google, and their SEO, which is all tailored, all built around this core positioning that they do. I'll just show you some examples here. So here we've got their Facebook page. So again, instantly you know who they are. Without even looking at the name, you can see who it is. Their Instagram page, same sort of concept here of fun and lots of life and energy and happiness. On their search results, you can see here that they're buying ads. So you've got, these are the Google ads, they're working very well for them. They're actually getting top spots here in all of these ads here where I've done a search for scrub caps. And just before we move on to the summary, I just want to say something a little further about that. There are a lot of other people out there who these days are selling fancy design scrub caps. I don't know if Dr. Wolf was the first to design fancy scrub caps or not, but it doesn't matter. What makes them different is the fact that they have taken that concept and then they've committed to it, and they've applied that same concept around everything else that they do. That's probably the key thing, a message that I can leave with you today about that particular case study. It doesn't have to be completely original or earth-shattering. It just has to be something that you commit to, something you can really hang your hook on with a lot of confidence, and that you can really commit to, and then communicate really consistently across everything that you do. So a quick summary. Your positioning should center your customers on your strengths so they can quickly understand what you do and why you should care, why they should care. It impacts every aspect of your marketing, and it's reflected or should be reflected across all your communications. And it's the single most powerful tool in any marketer's toolbox. I cannot emphasize that enough. Before anybody even thinks of spending a cent on advertising, for example, which a lot of people do, to my great distress, remember this statement: get your positioning right first, and you will find everything else so much easier. So take a step back. Look for opportunities for differentiating yourself. Go away and have a think about it. As I said, it doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but it does have to be really important to your ideal customer. And that's why all of that, answering all those questions is important. You need to know who your ideal customer is and what's really important to them. And it's generally not an easy process, as I said at the beginning, mainly because we're too close to our own business. And pardon the pun, but remember, it's impossible to operate on yourself. It's really hard to do your own positioning. If you can give it a go, but I think you're going to find having a third party, have a look at your business objectively is going to really, really help you. And of course, that's my little plug here. Positioning is my passion, and I can help you with yours. So I'd be happy to at any time. So thank you, guys. I hope you learned something about brand positioning today. More importantly, I hope you learned how you can apply it to your own business and take it to another level. So thank you.